Epilogue. For the later part of 1925, Byrd Cochrain was released from the Huntsville Prison. He settled on a ranch in Stonewall County and seldom leaves his home for any purpose. The legend of the little rooster from Dead Man's Corner is retold to each new set of grandchildren. In front of one of his old houses stands the monument erected by the woodsman of the world at the time of his death. Inscribed on it are these words: Byrd J. Cochrain, October 5th, 1883, March 10th, 1919, in loving memory of husband and father. The foot slab bears the initials BJC. The monument is by far the largest and most imposing ever placed in the Little Johnson Cemetery, which is now only a few miles from where Cochrain now lives. It is now unkept, has weeds grown up and grass located in plain view of the famous Double Mountain, which can be seen for 30 or 40 miles with the naked eye on a clear day. Double Mountain is about 7 miles west of the old Cochrain home, and lifts its head high above the horizons of the foothills in this little community. The country as a whole is hilly and jagged, being covered, or not cultivated, with ragged, shaggy mesquite shrubs. Mr. King, from Woodsman of the World, did not attach the tombstone as he threatened because Mr. Cochrain has it and plans to use it someday. He kept the cold coffin stored in his barn for many years, then finally destroyed it. One newsman on viewing Cochrain, opposite an nursery in prison, wrote, "These men were clad in the rough garb of laborers and were unshaved. They have not appearance of shrewd men who could outwit the insurance company experts, but look rather like hard-working farmers from the outskirts of civilization." In Avenue News. Later, in the words of Byrd Cochrain, "In that unaccountable way only we humans can manage, I have lost the only things I've ever loved." He started to write his memoirs while in prison. On one faded page he wrote, "Times are harder for this poor man now to make a living than I've ever seen before in my life." He had been out of prison only a short time when he made that statement. On the 4th day of his June 1930, his boy Earl was killed, an event which nearly finished him. Reverend E. L. Yeats, wrote the author, "When I was a pastor at Ostermont, Cochrain was still in the pen. He got out a while before I left. A child was born to him and lived only 7 weeks. Mr. Cochrain would take the little baby in his arms and drive an old Ford pickup over the rough country road in the heat of summer to a doctor. I held the services when the child died. He stood quietly until the grave was being filled. Then he took a shovel and helped fill the grave. He remained until all were gone. He just remained. Then he fell over the grave and, lying there, wept bitterly. This was in August or September of 1925. Once, while I was with Mr. Cochrain taking pictures of the old Johnson Cemetery, he said quite seriously, "The cemetery hasn't changed since I was buried here." In 1922, Byrd Cochrain's dad died in Oda, New Mexico. He hadn't seen his father for some time and was unable to go to the funeral. His mother lived to be 96, and they never really got along well together. My interest in Byrd Cochrain came while I was yet in my teens. In those days, the main highway, unpaved, between Roten and Peacock ran by his house, and the mighty close to an old tombstone he had sitting in his front yard. When I asked my dad about the monument, he told me briefly about Dead Man's Corner and the man he had known as the Little Rooster. Legends grew with the telling. I heard he had struck it rich while hunting gold in old Mexico, but after knowing this fine man, I am confident he worked for everything he has ever owned. Long after men laid their guns aside, Cochrain and his boys rode into Ostermont on horseback, with his guns strapped to his side. Today at 87, his spurs are rusting somewhere in the garret of the past. He watches with many regrets as his candle of life burns lower each day. He longs for the solitudes of plain, vanished ranges. He hates the miles of wire that has imprisoned the open areas. Behind those faded blue eyes are memories of cattle drives, open skies, blizzards, waving of the weavers, the hot gun battle, fraud, death, and imprisonment for him. He is quick to tears, but has lived long enough to realize man destroys man. He awaits his summons to ride on and join his many loved ones who have gone before him.